Everyone, thank you for joining today's LinkedIn Live session. I'm Finlay Whitelaw, the Insider Threat Programme and UEBA Solutions Field CTO here at Securonics. Joining me today is Zubair Chowgale, our Senior Sales Engineer specialising in UEBA and SIM Solutions here at Securonics. Welcome, Zubair.
Thank you, Finlay. Hi, everybody. And as Finlay mentioned, my name is Zubair Chowgle, and I'm the Senior Sales Engineer for Securonics. I cover the Middle East, Turkey, Africa, Europe, and Asia Pacific region as part of my role. I work with our customers and partners to help them build their insider threat programs and security operations functions using Securonics' market-leading technologies.
Thanks. In our last session, Zubair, we discussed the regional dynamics around insider and cyber threats. So today's session, we'll discuss some of the use cases and scenarios you might relate to regarding the insider threats. Now, with the region's rapid digital transformation and considering the current insider threat landscape, one of the most prominent insider threat continues to be document abuse, data exfiltration, and privileged access abuse. Now, given this environment, industries like financial services, e-commerce, telecommunications, healthcare, oil and gas, and utilities are proactively seeking solutions like ours. Can you just bring this to life for me?
Sure, Finlay, and you're absolutely correct. So what we'd like to do is bring these threats to life with a couple of use cases. I'll talk about this in a scenario format so our audience can hopefully follow what we're talking about here. So the first scenario we'll be talking about is document abuse and data exfiltration, right? An employee working in a financial institution routinely accessed a customer database. What was realized is over a period of time, they began exporting large volumes of data to her personal email address. And what happened was, since this behavior was odd because the role that she belonged to in the organization didn't necessitate such actions, the UEBA tool would basically flag this anomaly by comparing her behavior to her peers and the past activity what she has done. And this deviation would immediately raise an alert to the Security Operations Center, who can then go and investigate the user in question.
And how would this scenario and use case differ from, say, this being detected, say, by a DLP tool?
A very valid question, and typically when we talk to organizations, about the platform and about the capabilities, one of the questions that I often get asked is, "Hey, I have a DLP solution, and what you just said, it does exactly that." But however, there's a stark differentiation between what a DLP solution can do and how it can add value to UEBA solution and vice versa. Now, when you look at a DLP tool, it primarily focuses on the movement of data, right? As DLP system admins, you define rule sets that are static, that are data centric. Basically, they would monitor and control data on endpoints, data in motions, or data at rest. So in this case, a well-configured DLP might flag or block the attempt to send the customer data to a personal email address, or a predefined rule such as block the transfer of files, on a USB, or basically, block any email that contains a certain pattern of information such as credit card. But what we don't realize is this is a reactive control. Whereas in the case when the UEBA is introduced in this setup, this will be a proactive control that uses dynamic learning, which is more behavior centric. So what the UEBA does is it basically focuses on understanding what is normal in an organization and normal for every user. And once it understands the normal behavior, it then starts identifying the anomalies before even the employee trying to exfiltrate data. So early in the approach of or early in the cycle of data exfiltration, a UEBA would actually point out those indicators which could point to a data exfiltration attempt being done in the organization. For example, this user might already be doing some suspicious activity on other systems before even publishing the customer data or sending it to the email. Those indicators will actually be triggered or captured by a UEBA system much more than what a DLP can actually do. So UEBA doesn't only look at data transfer, it observes the context, the frequency, the volume, and the method of access against the backdrop of what's considered normal for a user and a similar user profiles. Like, if they belong to the same group, they might be doing the same activities in the organization. So that's where the key differentiation between a DLP and a UEBA solution is, Finlay.
Thank you so much for highlighting the differences. I really like the proactive versus the reactive, and obviously Securonics in the user behavioural analytics is certainly on the proactive end. So thank you for that. Now I want to move on, and another widespread kind of use case is privileged access abuse. I'm interested to hear what you've got to say about this use case. Can you bring that one to life for us, Subir?
Sure, sure, Finlay. So there was a system admin and telecom company for one of our customers, and what we realized was that this system admin was recently passed over for promotion. And once that was done, inadvertently became a disgruntled employee and started accessing sensitive internal communication channels. It could be documents, there were emails, systems, etc. So their access patterns became irregular. What they used to do now, what he used to do normally was actually different than what was observed in the current scenario after he was passed over for promotion. So with UEBA, even though they had privileged access, and this is very important, right? A system admin does have privileged access to do legitimate stuff. But what a UEBA will do is it identified the change in the user's behavior pattern, identified it as a deviation, and immediately flagged an alert to the security operations center that this system admin is doing something which is not normal and needs to be immediately looked at.
So again, in this scenario, and notwithstanding that the privileged access management tools and UEBA are integral components of a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy, especially when it comes to insider threats, they serve distinct, albeit overlapping purposes. Can you explain to us just some of the differences?
Sure, of course, Finlay. So when you look at a PAM tool, they are basically designed to manage, control, and monitor privileged users, right? They ensure that these authorized individuals access specific systems in the environment, and whatever they're doing are logged in by the privilege access monitoring tool. So the system essentially focuses on who can access what, and what are the rules that are defined by static permission. So it's not dynamic. It's like you put in the PAM that this user is supposed to access ABCD systems, and that's what it does and logs what they're doing. Now, if a system admin is used to access elevated permissions to access systems, they shouldn't. So PAM would log them. For example, if a certain user is probably logging into a critical machine which they're not supposed to, PAM would actually monitor that and provide you that information. However, what happens is if this user already has access to the system and they're doing something which they're not supposed to be doing, this is something which is beyond the purview of a PAM solution. And this is where a UEBA platform adds value. Because not only does it monitor what a user is doing on the once log into the system, it also identifies the pattern, what they have done in the past, and then triggers any anomaly that would have been detected. So user behaviors are monitored in real time. Baselines are created for normal activity for every user and every role in the organization. Any deviations or oddities like accessing data or systems at odd hours or increasing the frequency of access would be immediately flagged by a UEBA solution. And in this case, a trigger would have been raised given that this was outside the user's normal pattern and which the system had not seen before. So that's where the major difference would be when it comes to a PAM and a UEBA solution.
Thanks for that. Those examples certainly illustrate how behaviour is central to UEBA. But a vital aspect is linking UEBA with, say, HR data feeds or segmented populations or risk boosting indicators, which can help amplify, digital behaviours with behavioural stressors. Can you talk a little bit more about that for us?
Sure, and Finlay, you mentioned one key point as HR data feed, and power of UEBA isn't just about siloed monitoring. Yes, PAM or DLP are data sources in it, but that's just one bit of that entire story, right? It's all about a holistic view. Why did the user turn rogue? What made him or her exfiltrate that data or access or behave in a way that is not normal or that could be rogue? And that's where an HR system is very important, or an access log or a communication channel is very important. Now typically what is there in an HR system is a life cycle of an employee, right? What they're doing, whether they're in their notice period, whether they have resigned, did they receive a poor performance review, and all of this information is very key for a UEBA solution to build that entire story of a user behavior. So in both our cases, what we talked about, like the DLP and the privilege access monitoring, it's not only about a single suspicious action, but the entire story of the user, which led that user to basically exfiltrating data.
So, in summary, the dynamic digital landscape, coupled with the intricate nature of insider threats, certainly necessitates advanced solutions like UEBA, which will allow organisations to preempt and mitigate potential insider threats by holistically, understanding user behaviour.
Yeah, and to all our listeners here, we are excited to continue developing and tailoring the UEBA solution for the challenges faced by organizations in our region. Securonics, as you know, has been at the forefront of this space. We realized very early that legacy tools like a SIM or just having a DLP or a PAM solution does not paint the entire picture. They lack the capability and the maturity to detect insider threats. What we realized is the most effective way to detect insider threat would be by learning a user on a system's behavior, baselining it, identifying what is normal, and then alerting if something which is an anomaly or outside a normal activity. That's where we started as a company way back in 2008. We continue our journey by innovating and providing advanced threat detection capabilities to organizations globally, and we'd be glad to work with every one of you.
Thank you so much, Zabir, and thank you for your time and your insights. And thanks once again to everybody who's joined us today. Till the next section.
Thank you for having me, Finlay. Cheers.